Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pre-Game Network, another free play episode. But this time we're going to be talking about Google's new announcement of their new gaming platform, Google Stadia, and what we think of it. So, Anthony, say hi to the good people.
Howdy. Welcome to Worms.
Don't even start, all right? There's no need to purposely confuse people.
I mean, we gotta introduce the game that we're talking about, Dan. Otherwise, there's no point in playing a game while having this conversation.
So we're just playing Hydro Thunder because, I mean, it's a fun game. Why not?
Absolutely.
So Google Stadia, what is it? It's basically it's Google's new cloud processing gaming platform. Don't bump me, you asshole.
Fuck you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, continue.
No. You were speaking.
Okay, so first and foremost, is it Stadia or Stadia?
It's Stadia. I'm 99% sure that Google themselves were pronouncing it as Stadia.
Okay. So right off the bat, has anybody talked about the fact that this has technically been tried multiple times before?
Yes, for like other news outlets and whatnot. I don't know if anybody out there remembers On Live. I actually signed up for it way back when.
First thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, so On Live was like kind of the original cloud processing gaming platform. Their goal was to bring, your games to pretty much whatever display that you had to, that could run a game, so you could play anywhere that you are, which is, all well and good. So the biggest problem with that was nobody took into account the input lag, the latency between you pressing a button on a controller and then it reflecting on your screen. And that wasn't really thought of at first, but it ended up being a huge problem. Like, you can't play a game when you press a button and there's like a solid half a second to a full second where you just nothing happens. And that's incredibly infuriating to play as. But according to Google, they have been building this infrastructure for the better part of, I think pretty much since they've been around. I don't know the specifics on it, but basically Google has been reassuring everybody that their infrastructure of servers literally all around the world will be able to support this low latency input lag of cloud gaming. Now, a portion of that is, you son of a bitch, you beat me by like a half a second. Now, a portion of that is their controller. So their controller is a really special design. Their controller is Wi-Fi enabled, so you'll be able to connect the controller to your Wi-Fi network, I guess, depending on where you are, and I guess that'll help with the input lag, and there won't be as much latency, and all that good stuff. Maybe I should change my boat.
See, that technology is definitely gonna help going down the line, having the controller also be connected directly through the internet as opposed to just the console.
Yeah.
The way you just, I did understand what you just said, right?
Yeah, I think so. But like, the Xbox Elite controller, that doesn't connect to Wi-Fi, that just plugs into your Xbox, but it's super customizable. The Google Stadia controller, it looks like oh, look at that, we're using the same shit. It looks like a PlayStation 4 controller. The analog sticks are oriented exactly the same way the PS4 controller is. It doesn't have the dick handles, as you like to call them. The handles they look a lot slimmer, which is nice, I guess. So they didn't announce a release date. They didn't announce pricing, which is all a huge part of this. Now, something that I found incredibly interesting was Doom Eternal is going to be a launch title for this.
Oh,
which, yeah. So you didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. So
All
Doom Eternal.
They tested Doom and Assassin's Creed on there.
Yeah, Doom Eternal is a launch title on this thing, but what makes that really interesting to me is that Doom Eternal, or just Doom in general, they're known for being a super, super fast-paced shooter.
Yes.
One wrong move in like the harder difficulties, you're fucking dead. Like that's it.
Yeah. So if
Can
there
you
was
jump
ever
in
a
this game,
game,
by the
they
way?
like X.
X? No, alright, good to know. So, just based off of that alone, with Bethesda must be putting some serious stock into this technology, because they wouldn't do that with their flagship franchise, or one of their flagship franchises, unless they knew beyond the shadow of a doubt it was going to work. Now, they did just put out Fallout 76, and Jesus Christ, was that riddled with issues. So, who knows, man?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's different divisions working on Doom versus the
Oh,
Fallout
yeah, no, that,
franchises.
yeah, definitely. But still, like, they have to be super confident in the fact that this is going to run smoothly on...
Potentially. I mean, it also could just be like, enough money gets passed around, I'll put whatever on whatever. We see that a lot now with like the Epic Store, for example. A lot of money's been making moves, and all of a sudden there's a lot of games exclusive on the Epic launcher on PC.
Yeah, which could be really anti-gamer like friendly, just because people pre-order this stuff on Steam and whatever their other outlets are, and you fucked up.
Fuck you. To touch on that, though, I will say that a lot of them are honoring Steam pre-orders. It's just that it won't necessarily be for sale at a future point. If you pre-ordered it, you still get it. In a lot of cases, not all of them.
I think my biggest concern with Stadia thus far is the pricing, because they literally said any device that can run a Google Chrome browser will be able to play whatever Google Stadia is supporting. Which, like, that sounds pretty crazy. And that's also a really bold statement. So, like,
yeah,
you'll be able to run it off of a piece of shit Android phone that can still run Chrome, and as long as you have the internet connection speed, which they claim should be 20 megabits down, that also introduces a huge problem for a lot of people around the world.
Same boat as me again?
Okay, that's weird. Did you just unlock it? Because that's why I picked it.
I don't know. I just flipped through. I'm like, ooh, this boat looks cool.
Well, I just fucked up. So.
So with all this, I mean, it raises a few concerns, right?
Yeah. I mean, it raises a lot of concerns, because I really think that a lot of people around the world are not going to be able to take advantage of this.
Yeah, because they can talk about servers and everything all you want. The technology isn't there where your server can boost the infrastructure in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And I know that's not on them to fix that. That's not on them to fix, but I think that they're going about it the wrong way as far as how they talk about it. It's just they're just like they're overconfident in what their servers can do to alleviate these things, because
You think so?
yeah, because even I've from what little I've heard, I've seen some tests, and like the input lag is all over the place.
Is it really? I only saw the Doom Eternal gameplay, and it looked fine.
So it's not outrageous, but Dan, you also got to factor in that's one of many experiences that's going to be had.
Yeah, but I'm using Eternal as like kind of a benchmark, because it's so fast paced and it's so cutting edge in how it's gonna look.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's not just about the game and how it's going to run and how it's going to look. It's about you pressing the button to your action on the screen is apparently, at their tests, there are discrepancies between the setups that they have fine-tuned to show the world.
Huh.
Like, in the most optimal of conditions, even early on, like, we shouldn't be seeing that. Like, that it can't be all over the place.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because we talked about it right at the beginning on live. Where's that now?
Non-existent, obviously. So one of the like we were saying before, my biggest concern is pricing and of course availability. But like, we live in the States, we don't, the issue of not enough bandwidth is not even a concern. Like in my apartment, I have 200 megabits down. Like that's more than enough to be able to run a Stadia client. So, I mean, I just think it's going to alienate a lot of people, which, I mean, it's Google.
It's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah. I actually like this boat. I'm going to stick with this boat. So, again, my biggest concern is availability and is pricing. So, like, I feel like they're going to go the route of the Steam box, almost. Which, by the way, I don't know any single person that has a Steam box. They either have a gaming PC or they have a console. It's one or the other. They don't have a Steam box.
All these different companies are trying to break in between these two areas, and I don't think anybody's really delivered on that so far.
I would agree with that. I think they overpromise and underdeliver, but that is the nature of the business, unfortunately. But I just, are we gonna have to purchase a separate box? Is it gonna be just a client that we can install on the Chromecast? Because they even said, like, if you own a Chromecast, the Chromecast is going to support it. So how the fuck is that going to work? Are there servers just that good? Like, I don't get it.
There's something we're not being told just yet.
Oh, 100%. But this was announced at GDC, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So they said they've been working on this for a long time. It's all fine and good. They just announced it at GDC, so that means it's what? At minimum a year off? Maybe 2? Something like that? I don't know, man. I'm extremely skeptical.
I think most people are. Like I said, the kind of... It's so weird to think, because we don't know about pricing. We've talked about this up and down. That's going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Who's the market? Realistically, who's the market? Because
market, I would think, are people that. Okay, so assuming that the pricing is affordable, right?
Yeah.
I think the market would be people that don't want to spend. They don't want to drop $500 on an Xbox One X or $400 on a PS4 Pro, and by the time this thing launches, we might have the next Xbox or the PS5. That's just a given at this point, because they're going to be released next year.
I mean, allegedly.
Allegedly.
We'll see what happens. I mean, they're not even talking. We'll see what happens after E3. Yeah, after E3, depending on whether anything is announced at all, we'll have a better idea of where we stand.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to have a presence at E3 at all, by the way?
Probably not.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they've already made their announcement. They're just going to sit back and continue to work on the technology.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know, man. This is just
the main reason I ask about what their audience is, right?
Yeah.
What the demographic, who they're aiming for, is because I look at it this way, okay? Hardcore gamers, for lack of a better term, enthusiasts.
Well, that's the only term, really.
We'll say enthusiasts.
For people like okay, fine. Enthusiasts is more politically correct.
For people who want either the best experience or they just want everything to run right?
Yeah.
You're either going to buy the premium console, as is available now, or this boat's a dickhead, or you're going to go out and you're going to build yourself like a real nice gaming computer, right?
Yeah.
So that's out. They're not going to want anything to do with the streaming console, because they're going to say, like, why would I even risk that?
Also, one other thing before I forget is we're not going to own our games anymore if this is as successful as they want it to be. We're not going to own our games, and I have a huge problem with that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, the other side of enthusiasts is like buying and owning.
Yeah.
Right? So that demographic's out. Now let's say you're just looking at normal gamers, like people who want the games. They're just concerned about the games.
They just want to play it. That's it.
Yeah, they just want to play, and they want it to play it right. And this could also range to people who play competitively but don't necessarily
they have
want
the money
the
to
highest
compete.
end. Yeah, no. People that want to play competitively, but they don't necessarily care about how the game looks, or they just care about how it plays.
Yeah.
Well, you're ruling those people out, because they're just going to buy, whatever the latest console is, and they're not going to want to play online, because if you play a fighter, you play a shooter, you play a MOBA, you play any of those games, those games aren't going to run right.
Yeah, and, it's all about the timing and the input lag, all of it.
Because even if they perfect the input lag, which they're not going to, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Unless they just have this super secret fucking Skynet technology,
they would have showed it
that nobody knows about.
They would have showed it.
Yeah, no, you're right. They would have showed it. They would have.
So even if it ran perfectly, it would still pale in comparison to what the console in your hands is capable of doing.
Okay, that's fair because everything's rendered locally.
Yeah, and then the last thing to think about is casuals.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, if we talk about casuals, Dan, right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing about casuals?
They're not very good.
Okay, shut the fuck up. So,
I play shooters borderline competitively, so that's how I think.
As far as entry is concerned, what do you think the biggest thing is?
The price. It's the price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have this technology, right, where you can make streaming extremely consistent,
yeah,
is it going to be cheaper than the entry level models of the Xbox or the PlayStation?
Fuck no.
Probably not. Like they say Chromecast, I want to see that in action.
Yeah, and by Chromecast, like, $25 for one device that could render fucking Doom Eternal with low latency. And and by the way, they did quote fucking 4K and 60 FPS with the potential to go up to 8K. That's bonkers to stream that kind of video data. Listen,
the potential is there. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it's another one of those things where I think that they're talking a big game about what can be done and not necessarily what will happen.
Yeah, that's fair. So going back to the whole resolution thing, they quoted the not only 4K, but 4K with 60 FPS with HDR. All of that. I truly do not see how that is possible. Like, that is so much video data. So much.
Listen, my whole thing is I'm not going to sit here and say it's not possible, right?
I mean,
I'm going to sit here and say who is going to be able to.
I mean, if anybody, it's Google.
No, but what I mean is like you and do you think your Wi-Fi is going to support that?
If what they say is to be believed and all you need is 20 megabits down, then it better because I pay for 200.
It's gonna I think
that's all I'm saying. Like they're quoting these data numbers, it has to be accurate to make that kind of a promise to stream these games at this kind of fidelity.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think we're gonna get. I don't think they're gonna achieve quite what they're setting out to do.
We'll see. I guess we'll see.
I don't think they're gonna crash and burn as bad as some companies who've tried this in the past have. But I don't think it's gonna go
I would agree with that. I think didn't somebody buy On Live?
Not a clue.
I'm pretty sure somebody bought it. But anyway, man, like the hardcore, we're gonna stick with consoles and PCs. And I really can't stress enough how much I don't like the fact that I'm not going to be able to actually own my games anymore. I'm gonna pay for something that resides on a server. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm a collector. I like to have my collector's editions and my hard copies and all this stuff. And they're literally stripping that all away.
Yeah, that's going to be another factor. Is a lot of people are going to be resistant to strictly digital, strictly streaming service.
And what's funny? Model. Microsoft was headed in this direction when they announced the Xbox One. Everybody flipped the fuck out.
They did it a little differently though.
I mean, maybe the execution was a little wrong, but the core concept of what they were trying to do is basically, Netflix for games.
It was a little different than that because
it was Steam on Xbox.
No, what they wanted to do was a little different. What they wanted to do was essentially, it was almost like future-proofing in a way, where as the system went on, you would have the game, the Xbox would still be running it primarily, but it would bolster that with cloud services. This is just strictly you're playing off server. This is just strictly playing in the cloud.
Okay. And now Xbox is doing that too with xCloud.
It's possible.
Well,
Like
they're
I said, we'll
trying
never
to do
really
it.
know. We'll never really know what the Xbox One was going to do because it just didn't happen. So yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Um. So the other thing I wanted to kind of talk about was this is even if this has like the best launch in history and they achieve everything that they say they're gonna do,
which there's no
yeah,
way.
that's not gonna
There's
happen.
no way.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. A lot of people talk about oh, it's the future of gaming. It's the future of gaming. I'm like, I don't
It
think
could
so.
be. I think it has the potential.
No, I don't because my whole thing with when people throw the term future of gaming around, that's a very, very bold claim, and I think it's only been achieved twice in the history of the industry, as far as the future of gaming moment.
Do tell.
So, it has a lot to do with, like, it needs to be, like, truly industry changing. The first, like, if we just ignore the fact
Basically,
that
what you're
games,
saying is it needs an absolute perfect launch, and people need to be floored by this.
no, I think that even if the concept were to achieve its fullest potential,
Yeah.
I don't think it's just another means of distribution. I don't think it has anything to do with the future of gaming. It's
Okay.
just an ease of access.
Well, it's all convenience.
By that, yeah, but by that by that claim, the future of gaming happens every time a new console generation comes around because it just has new hardware, new way to play. That's not really a future of gaming moment in my eyes.
That's fair. Well, okay, so then you said there were 2 times prior
Yes,
where there has been a
and
future of gaming. Please explain
yes. So the first thing I want to note before I even go into that is we need to ignore the fact that the game industry as a whole existing and games, having video games exist.
that. Yeah.
We need to ignore that because that in itself is obviously a big thing.
Well, yeah.
So I think the first major breakthrough as far as future of gaming
Well, 3D
was
first
the
of
emergence.
all.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going. It was the emergence of 3D.
Yeah.
3D as a space that we could interact with.
Yes.
That was the first future of gaming moment.
Okay.
The second, and this is something that everybody picked. I hesitate to say there's even two because this is something everybody did. Was the introduction to online in the gaming space.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, those are really the only two existing like future of gaming moments where you could claim it and like have it actually follow through.
Yeah.
So even if like streaming games, okay, I can stream Doom Eternal instead of going out and buying Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do for me? I honestly think that the future of gaming is hidden in controls somewhere. Like how we control the game.
I could see that. Yeah. I could see that.
Now, whenever I say that, the first thing people go to is like, "Well, Anthony, you hate virtual reality."
Okay, that's fair.
So here's the
That's
thing:
definitely fair.
the future, when we talk about moving gaming forward in any capacity,
Yeah.
it needs to be something that's accessible in all capacities.
Okay.
VR isn't. You can't do that in VR. Like, it's not something you can apply to the existing rules of play that video games have.
How do you mean?
It's something like if you create something in gaming, right?
Yeah.
VR essentially adds more rules into how you intend to create, as opposed to enriching the experience as a whole.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You mean you can only do so much in VR, then execute on your vision that you wanted it from the beginning.
Yes. So look at it like this. Like, to go back to, we talked about like, the third dimension being a huge part of gaming advancing, right?
Yeah.
Say I have something I want to make. I want to make a game, and I have this vision in my mind, and I'm comparing it to real life and how it would play out if it existed.
Okay.
Being able to, have all that done in the third dimension enriches what I'm able to create and opens up new possibilities.
Oh, I just hit a wall.
That
was funny.
So as I was saying, it allows me to do more with my vision.
Okay.
Now, virtual reality, some would argue that virtual reality would do the same thing. Here's the difference. Is 3D is something that could be applied to the existing rules of play, where it's controller in hand, you interacting with the space.
Yeah.
With VR, it's really just a matter of being able to look at it in a different angle. And let's say, I want to release a game, right?
Yeah.
I can put it out on any platform. I want to release a game in VR. I can only put it on 2 platforms.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean,
it's Vive or Oculus, one or the other.
Yes, it's essentially the main reason I'm so dour on VR, aside from the fact that I just honestly I anticipated it going the way that it did since it it was something that we sold.
Oh, you mean like at Best Buy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was always due to the fact that it's just like, okay, so you're gonna one of two things is gonna happen. You're either gonna have a lightning the perfect software lined up in order, and then people are going to play it on the PC and potentially the PlayStation, or you're going to just, have this whole line of software that can only be played one way, and nobody wins in that scenario.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
So, I don't know. That was that's my whole thing on when it comes to, like, what's the future of gaming, and, why do you hate VR, Anthony? Why are you such an asshole, Anthony? About VR. Why do you keep saying it's a gimmick, Anthony? It's totally the future. It's the next step.
I played a couple games in VR for a few hours in one sitting a couple of years ago, and I pretty much came to the same conclusion you did. I was like, it's fine, but it's really nothing more than a proof of concept, and I can't move out of I wanted to walk around, but I couldn't. Yeah. And that's just the virtual world. There's so many limitations.
Yeah, it's maybe they can. I can never in order for it to be the next evolution. It needs to render the complete current rules of play and how we interact with video games.
You
as
beat
a whole.
me by 40 milliseconds.
Sounds about right. It essentially the next. What I'm getting at is when we make a claim like the future of gaming.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that can be applied and improve upon the foundation that's already set. Otherwise, you're just making a subgenre. You're making something that that will always need to be interacted with differently, or doesn't actually change all that much. And I think that Stadia, whatever it's called, is gonna fall into that second category.
Just a different type of distribution.
It's
at the
a
end
new
of the
console.
day, that's really what it is. Yeah. I do like the fact that. Since it is Google and they do own YouTube, you could be watching, a streamer or somebody on YouTube and then click play on the webpage and boom, according to them, within 5 seconds, it'll launch that game and that's it. You're off playing. In addition to that, they also said, if you want to pick up where somebody left off, you could literally download the save game file and start playing that, which I don't like whatsoever. I think that's terrible for gaming.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
So I will always be of the mind that there is a need for the local side of things.
Well, I think we just grew up in a time where we can't imagine it any other way.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Online services are a big thing. That's why look at what we're able to do right now.
Yeah.
But, trying to think of I just think that even if everybody was unanimously agreed on, okay, this is the direction we're going to take it, everything's online, okay, makes sense, servers will run everything for you, and that's how you get tremendously good load times like that, where the game just loads up in 5, because you have a computer that you don't want to pay for in the distance loading this that quickly for you on a software infrastructure that was built specifically to do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but as it stands, like I said, even if everybody was unanimously agreed on it being just a perfect next step, you would also need to factor in the fact that not everybody has on their side of the connection, the means to do this, perfectly.
Yeah. And I agree with everything that you're saying, but it's going to be one hell of an experiment when this thing launches. And if I truly think if it doesn't go perfectly on day one, it's going to fucking flop. It's going to fall flat on its face. Because then people are going to be pissed that they spent however much money they spent on this game or this service, really, that doesn't work, and then what? They just
and then you start losing developer support.
Yeah.
Like Google will only shell out so much money.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, like if it just doesn't take off, they can't keep buying rights and buying people and just saying, hey.
Google probably has more money than they
I'm
genuinely
sure
know
do,
what to do with.
But realistically, Dan, how much money, if you were the richest man in the world, how much money would you be willing to sink into the same project that's just not yielding results? Like by attempt 3, you'd probably be sick of it.
People are bringing up this point that like Google has all of these services and all of these software suites that they launched and then they just fucking abandoned because nobody was using them. So hopefully this isn't that, but I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. This is only in its infancy. It was literally just announced.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that the waters have been tested. I'm not like I want to stress this again. I'm not saying this kind of thing doesn't have a place because it's essentially a console. It's not uprooting anything. It's just a means for somebody else to play. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as it don't mess with the way I want to play, that's perfectly fine. But I don't think that like even from like a strong like stance from Google, I don't think that it's going to launch quite the way that people who are excited about it's just not going to launch that way. Yeah. And the other thing to consider is that, if they don't do it like that, if they don't take the time, if they don't, like, maybe it should have been under wraps for another 2 years and, they should have done more testing. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well.
But it's I don't know, I don't think it's in a position for a strong launch.
Again, we'll see what happens. It's probably just about the only thing that we can do is wait and see. And, going back to the whole, it's just another console or platform or whatever you want to call it. I remember when I was reading that Doom Eternal was launching with Stadia, that there will also be an Xbox One and PlayStation 4 version, which, I mean, first of all, duh. Second of all, that really further enforces the fact that it's just another console. It's just another platform with a different type of technology. And I really think that they can be going the route of a subscription-based payment method. Because, this has got to cost an ungodly amount of money to have super powerful servers rendering everything in 1,000 miles away. And
for potentially, like, if they wanted to
for millions of users. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if there was ever a company to handle things like this logistically,
it's definitely Google, yeah.
But it's at a certain point, it's like not about capabilities; it's about cost.
Yeah.
But the cost has got to come from somewhere. Whether Google decides to eat for multiple years in a row, or they want to put it on the consumer. It's like you're paying for this.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like people like you and I were interested, but that's as far as no. I'm not even going to say interested. I'm going to say curious.
I'm about as interested in it as I am like the latest like television screen technology, where it's just like, oh, nice. How's this technology like it interests me as somebody who wants to look at the tech. Yeah. It does not interest me as somebody who a potential purchaser.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's probably the perfect comparison because I do kind of look at this like I look at like a TV. Like, oh, that's cool. I'd love to have it, but am I actually gonna bother? It's just not. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem feasible when you just think about it. But
yeah, I mean, listen, technology is amazing. I just don't think it's such a weird thing to talk about because we're talking about the cross. But at the end of the day, like even if they jump all these, like me and you don't want it. We're not interested.
And the more games that I play on PC, the more I just want a PC game.
Yeah.
Like, so I have a 660 Ti, which is ridiculous. Nice rubber ducky. I was gonna pick that one. I was. but the stats weren't there, so I had no idea what the performance was going to be.
Oh, it's awful.
Anywho, what was I saying? I'm sorry, that rubber duck completely caught me off guard.
Talking about PC gaming.
Yeah, so I have a 660 Ti, and I just installed the Division 2 the other night, and like even at the lowest settings, I still have really stable 60 frames. Like, it's crazy. A graphics card that is as old as mine is like outpacing the One X. It's just fucking bonkers to me. So like experiencing that kind of smooth gameplay, just why would I want to play anything not on PC, you know?
Yeah, there's as far as platform choice, there's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah. I'm skeptical at best, I would say.
Oh yeah.
I'm skeptical at best for Stadia. I don't even know how the fuck to pronounce it.
Yeah, you were so certain when we started talking about it.
Stadia. I'm 99% sure it's Stadia. Which, I would love to know what that means. At least PlayStation and Xbox, those make fucking sense.
It's possible that they explained it. It just doesn't. We just didn't do enough research because there's only so much. There's only so much I'm willing to read up on one.
No, you're right. You're right.
Point. Like, I'd be interested. Okay, what are the servers like? I wouldn't be interested in like, okay, where. That's something you got to tell me, friend.
Yeah, but with that being said, I think that kind of sums up our opinions on Google Stadia. Your thing just made a squeak when you landed.
Such is life.
But yeah, so that's our opinions. You guys are more than welcome to stick around and watch the rest of me kicking Anthony's ass at Hydro Thunder.
Fuck you! I'm playing with a handicap to make you.
But yeah, that is our thoughts. So until next time, thank you everybody for watching. What were we gonna say?
I don't think we're gonna have much. You
don't think we're gonna have much what?
We're not gonna have much to say on the topic until we start seeing like more practical tests.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
More information about what's launching with it and stuff like that.
I think a lot of people are excited because they don't know. They're not as educated as far as server side goes. But that being said, like, we just need to see more. There was not enough shown, plain and simple. Hey, Absolutely. We're working on this. This is really cool. It's going to change the gaming landscape. I mean, okay, guy.
We are going to destroy fucking everybody. Oh, by the way. Well, we're not ready to discuss pricing.
Yeah. All right, so since I just won,
fuck you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching, everybody. And until the next time, this is Dan and Anthony with the Pregame Network, signing off.
And we can go straight on to the desktop PC. We actually went to buy the least powerful PC we could find here. And we could enjoy the same vision that the developer had, the same high-quality 1080p stream at 60 frames per second, and the full game vision, regardless of the hardware that you're using. And then it's once again seamless to go from running on our PC to running on a tablet. In this case, once again, running the Chrome OS on a Pixel Slate. And then finally,
finally